Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. Uh, we're expecting Fru any second now, and we have our producer participant, John McDonough. And it is Monday, the 24th. In 1933, Nazi Germany begins its persecution of Jehovah's Witnesses by shutting down the Watchtower Society offices in Magdeburg. And, it made me think of Reverend Martin Newmiller's line about first they came to the socialists and I said nothing. Then they came for the trade unionists and I said nothing. And then they came for me and there was no one left to say anything. And I think that's an important lesson that we all need to, if we see some small group being picked on, we need to speak up and say that they shouldn't be picked on. Was Fru you just saw passing by, sneaking by. Fru, how are you? So you spent your weekend out and about.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
trying to think what I did. I went to Mass. I drove my wife to Market Basket, and she went and did some shopping. I was on the phone with Bob Hoey. But that was about it for me. I watched a Hallmark movie with my wife. How about that? We got to be doing those things.
No, Sunday I went to Mass too.
Yeah.
I went to church, and then after church, I drove off to Andover at the Brook School, picked my son, went and have lunch, and then dropped him back at school. Then we came back.
Speaking of sons, how's your son, the producer, going? I'm waiting for episode 2.
Family Feud, episode 2.
Well, he's working on it.
Okay, that's good. As long as he's busy.
How's the campaign coming along?
Gradually, I'm forming the team.
Okay, good.
It's not easy to form a team, but there are wonderful people out there that are willing to support.
Yeah.
And it's about teamwork. It's not about Fru, but it's about Lowell.
Yeah. It is about Lowell. And there we go. Tell us about what's going on in Ambazonia.
Because last week I forgot her name. She's a well-renowned peace negotiator at Harvard University. She conducted a Zoom. So I zoomed in. I think she really gave very good points. And I would ask a question, Cliff. If you are going to an occasion or to a friends or a group or so, won't you hold a present, or you are going to a conference or a meeting of ideas? Would you not go with your own ideas to put on the table for discussion?
Yeah.
Then, if you really, from that point, if you see since 2016 when the struggle started, the Europeans have come in for suggestions. The Canadians and all over the Americans have tried to mediate. Cameroon have organized their own grand dialogue. But you ask yourself, the Ambazonians who are fighting for it, what have they offered? If you are going to a negotiation, you are going to listen to others suggest ideas to you, and you have never advanced anything of your own, do you really think that people will take you serious as if you know where you are coming from, you have an idea of what you want to become? No. So when I listen to that Zoom, I say, democracy, when you really look at it in its origin and in its practical form, really started in Africa. Because when you go to Africa, you see some of these small chiefs, small kingdoms, They are coexisting, and they have been coexisting peacefully for thousands of years before the West came in. And then a small chief has his own people, have their own small dialects, and a bigger chief is there, a bigger kingdom, they coexist. And then they have a paramount in kingdom, so to speak. You see, too, it works in Europe. You know this more than I do as a diplomat. You have the European Union, the European Parliament. And within those European Parliament, you have Switzerland, and you have all those little states that have equal rights like Germany, France, England, and those other big states. They have equal representation in the European Parliament. What is in Cameroon, unitary federal system has failed. Unitary has failed. Trying to dissolve the other, the Ambazonia has failed. What if we practice what Africans do, they have been doing all the time, like a federated state like in Europe? Create autonomy to the English side, give an autonomy to the French side. They appoint their own government using the French system. The English appoint their own government because they have their language, their education, everything. They have international boundaries. Then we form a federated state whereby the English send 50 members to the federal parliament, like the European Parliament. The Francophone send 50 members. It's not about the population, it's about two autonomous countries. If there's anything that has to involve the whole country, it is decided at the federal parliament. Would that not a peaceful way that now you can approach Europe and say, you people do it the same. You have the European Parliament, the European Commission, and Switzerland is autonomous. They have their government, they have their language, they do everything internally. Why can't we model your own style of government? Why should you come to us and give a different
Your
way?
government will say, don't tell us how to run our country.
No, I'm saying that it started, that kind of system that's practiced in Europe started in Africa.
It's not going to happen, friend.
I'm saying that is African culture.
You're
If you
dreaming,
go
my
with,
friend. You're dreaming that that's going to happen.
No, if we, John, you are not following me. If I propose that, that's what I'm saying from the very beginning. The Ambazonians have never brought anything on the table. And if they brought that way and compare it with what is going on in Europe, then they will say, Europeans, you are coming and trying to, this is the same system that you have. And this is the same system that was. Because Southern Cameroon was autonomous. The French Cameroon was also autonomous. But then they tried the federal system. It didn't work because French Cameroon wanted to use their domination, their popularity to dilute and absorb English Cameroon. So let us practice this. We'll have our own autonomy. You guys have our autonomy, but we will have a federated government governed by our representative.
In Europe, that's even more broken down. Switzerland has 3 official languages: German, French, and Italian. So 3 different regions with 3 different languages, they still work together. So you're right, and to the degree that the Ambazonian government in exile was not bringing forward a solution, they're not doing their job.
They're listening to the Western world and other people to decide it, but they are only funding about guns. People are tired of the guns. People are tired of the bloodshedding. When you bring this suggestion, the Europeans who like peace very much, they will say this is an alternative to killing ourselves. You will be practicing the type of system that exists in Europe now, and also you will be practicing what your culture, your ancestors had practiced thousands of years before it happened in Europe. Because this kind of system that's happening in Europe, they were known by fighting amongst themselves. You look at those empires, the French could not stand the British. British could not stand the Germans, the Austrians. So now they came into this type of union, the European Union, the European Parliament, to try to bring peace in that area. And it has been working to the smallest country which has as much right as to the biggest country. Why can that not happen? And in Ambazonia and the Western world, they will still have their interest. Their interest in Ambazonia will still be maintained. Their interest in La République will still be maintained because it is all about interest.
The U.S. system from the writing of the Constitution, when's that, 1787 or something? I mean, we have the Senate where every state gets 2 reps. So little Rhode Island and little Delaware is equal to Massachusetts or Virginia.
California.
We hadn't envisioned California, but you're right, California. And then we have the House of Representatives based on population and some dubious compromises, but people were trying to get the best they could at the time, and it was hard. A lot of people had their own opinions, and getting them to compromise was not easy.
But to explain to maybe those who are watching from Africa and even from Cameroon, California, just California as it state, and Texas, you can put Massachusetts, you can put Maine, you can put New Hampshire, you can put Rhode Island, and part of New York, they will form one state. But the same, with that a large area, with all these 5 states that can fit in one state like California and Texas, but all of them send 2 senators each, right?
Exactly.
No matter how small you are, you will send 2 senators. That is a system that could be applicable in Cameroon, in the Cameroonian situation. But the West will not practice what they preach over there. But it depends on the Cameroonians to look at this and see that that is how traditionally, culturally, the native people practice. But those who call themselves the leaders, they don't look close to their own culture, what their ancestors practiced that brought peace. So I think that could be a wonderful alternative that the Americans will see and like it, the Europeans will see and also like it, and it can bring a lot of peace and harmony and understanding in that area and even all over Africa.
That's good. So the Sudan Civil War, there were activities over the weekend. We did an evacuation of the embassy staff and some people from other embassies. Less than 100 folks got pulled out of Sudan. And apparently one American is dead. We don't know that person's name. The family's been notified, but out of respect for the family, they're not publishing the person's name. People have been told to shelter in place. There's supposedly 16,000 Americans in Sudan. I mean, that's a big number.
Well, but you ask, what are they doing there?
Making money.
Yeah, what are they doing there? Are they going there for peace?
Well, from Ashland, Mass., Trillian Clifford and her daughter are there. Trillian's teaching in an international school. So she's doing something which appears to be useful. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that, yeah, that is wonderful for the individuals who are going out there. If you say 16,000 in one African country, and there are 55 countries in Africa, and then if there are 15,000 that known in one country, we don't talk about the migration of Americans into Africa. Media only talks about Africans coming here. And that is the irony of the situation. You see, no one will ever think that any American migrate to Africa. And if Africa was that a dead place, a dangerous place, all these places, why would the Western media close their eyes on that aspect of migrating from the West into Africa.
It's not in the script. If it's not in the script, you're
No.
not going to hear it.
Yeah, but that is exactly what I am saying. If what is happening in Sudan, sad it is. It's not only about Americans. It's terrible. Have you seen how they are killing other Africans in
Oh, yeah.
Sudan?
Yeah.
I mean, you see on the streets they are carrying rocks. Cameroonians, Nigerians, South Africans, mostly black Africans. I saw on the street a big rock just smashing on the head of people. The army rounding up black Africans like them and crushing their heads, and it is atrocious.
It is.
But this is
Sudan's-
but this is the country that the West went there that they are going to install democracy. It just shows that, it is people are traditions and culture in Africa. You see, the people coexisted with these various tribes and kingdoms and whatever. They coexisted. When the West came with their own aspect of democracy, that is what they know best. That is what works with them. But they bring it there and say this is the ideal, and cause confusion into people that do not understand their own culture. And when you go, the West will go in there. They are going there for name me any place that the West has gone there in the guise of democracy and thereafter peace camp. One, just name one. It is a bitter pill to swallow. And then we glorify it in the Western media. We go now and blame these people. When they are coexisting amongst themselves, there's nothing as most of this conflict. When the West come in, you start hearing of problems. The guns that is Sudan. Do they manufacture guns in Sudan? Can we solve that problem?
Well, I don't know, but Sudan has been using guns for hundreds of years.
Where are those guns coming from?
I saw last Thursday Sudan fighters blowing up Sudan buildings in downtown, big-time Sudan. It's like a civil war.
But
It is a civil war.
But that is what the West wants to see on their media. Who is the elephant behind the scene? Where are these guns coming? Who is funding these people?
What would it take for me, you tell an American jet, okay, Cliff's a jet pilot. Hey, Cliff, go bomb low. There's a set of conscience in this. Nah, I'm going to have a malfunction here. I ain't doing that.
Why can the bombs do not go to Europe? There is a reason for that.
The bombs go to Europe?
Why can the pilot not go there? I mean, Europe is the most divided country. The French cannot even, at times, see the English. At some point, but
where were the bombs falling?
the bombs are falling in Africa.
In Sudan.
But who manufactures those bombs?
In Sudan.
Who supplies those planes? Who supplies everything? The market is there. The manufacturer is here. And then
we sell all this good stuff, and once I sell you a car, and you decided to run it into an Apple store, how is that my fault? I never should have sold you the car.
okay, your fault is only to go in public and blaming them. That is why, and saying that these people, they cannot control themselves, but you are behind with the remote control, and engineering it to happen.
I don't see it that way, Fru. I see.
You are not supposed to see it that way, John, because it doesn't affect. It doesn't really feel you.
Sudan citizens killing Sudan citizens, and that's wrong.
Yeah, but that's been going on for how long?
Not with jet planes, not bombing
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah.
Sudan looks like Ukraine now.
Have you ever heard of the Darfur?
Tell me more, Cliff.
Well, one of the two generals contending to run Sudan,
Speak up, Mike, whenever you can. We'll see what happens.
when it,
Still getting nothing.
as it transitioned to a new government, Remember, they had a 30-year dictatorship with al-Bashar. Uh, so he suppressed rebellion in the Darfur. South Sudan seceded from Sudan because of oppression. It was a case of South Sudan was black Africans, and the northern part of Sudan is Arabs. So there's been a lot of conflict. Now, Fru thinks that that's because of Western interference, and that may well be the case. Today, the Wagner Group is interfering in Sudan. That's when I think Wagner Group, I think of Russia. So does the West include Russia in this case, Fru?
Well, Cliff, if my memory serves me well, Sudan was once Sudan under General Gafar El Numeri. Okay, they discovered that. Then al-Bashir came, that you are talking about.
Yeah.
That was big Sudan, a big nation.
Third, even today, third largest in Africa.
Yes, and then you saw these Westerners. They come in when they discover oil in one part of the country. Know that is the route for the multinational. I'm not talking really about the governments, because these are multinational corporations who go there, conduct this research. When once they see the natural resources that are beneath, then you see now they foment something, and the government the government in the Western world, they go there. They are going there because one multinational has discovered a mineral resource. Then they go there and start pitching brothers against brothers, neighbors against neighbors. They will point some of us who are out here in this country, engineer them to go back there and start problem. That will fund you, will do this. And we, stupid Africans, they use us to go back because of power, because of greed, not looking at the continental benefit, but at individual tribalistic benefit. And then when you see now, we who have been detached from the continent for many years are now thinking like Western. We are going back, even though black, we are going back black skin, but mentality and all our networks and everything are Western. We are connected to these people, to some of the people who will engineer us to go and cause problems. Now you see, you say, this general person, this, you see, if you want to understand, where did he go to school? Who are his network?
We're discussing Sudan. Fru is...
So as I was breaking it down, Cliff, the problem in Africa are Africans who are out of Africa. Now they became the agents of destruction within their own continent. Because I am here, I talk as if I know Africa. Some people here may come to me and see that since I come from Africa, money is the root to all evil. I will be persuaded because of my personal greed. They make me feel as if I am somebody. They will send me out there to go and start a small organization, and eventually they will fund me, make me be powerful or so, and then my name is out there. I'm pretending as if I'm generous to the people. Then the people start looking at me. But those that I pay allegiance are those that are in the West funding that non-profit organization. Then all of a sudden you see these people flowed in under the guise of running this organization. They are coming in because they have discovered some mineral resources in that part of the world. And they want only to use an individual from that part of the world.
Respectfully, you have corrupt governments all over Africa, it seems to me.
Is that not the route to corrupt government that I'm explaining? If I go back now, I have my own associates here. They have interest in the resources. Do you think that whose interest will I be serving? If I create a non-profit organization, I bring the money here, I go to an area, I give money, free education and all whatnot. If I want to talk, would the people not say, I am the best person? But am I listening to the people? I am serving the person who is giving money from outside to be able to conduct that generosity. And when the world is saying that, oh, they say fruit is good, but the people in the West are using the media to magnify fruit's goodness for their own benefit.
Quite bluntly, I'm surprised Sudan got any media coverage at all in the United States media.
Because there are 17, as you have mentioned, Cliff, there are how many thousands of Americans there? Where are they going? You see, Africans, in terms of education, they are the most educated. You go to any university in this country and in the world, they are teaching there. Why do you think that Americans can instead go there and be teaching that you are talking? Is it that is it just looking down that Africans cannot teach themselves? No, I'm asking you, Joe, that's how you start thinking. That these people leave Africa, they come here, they go straight.
Respectfully, okay? The people who teach in the United States, this is a completely different government than you have over in Sudan. Sudan, you got a bunch of you got two generals that hate each other's guts, and they have a bunch of armaments, and they're just using them against one another, blowing up each side's cities. And we have is there a remedy there? Unless the UN steps in there, there's no remedy. Cliff, is there a remedy over there?
No, somebody's going to have to win and someone's going to have to lose.
John, but the question I'm asking you is, you know what, originally, I wasn't born here, right? But I know if we stand on the history of this country from 17, even from 16 something with the English coming to the American War of Independence, I know that history. We can go on a debate on that history.
Okay,
but let me finish. But you are sending these Americans there to go and teach. Do they know the history of the people?
John, let Fruit finish.
No.
When we are sending, for 10 minutes.
No, when we are sending these people to go there and say they are educating these people, do they know the history of these people? Do they even know their own history? They are going there to confuse people. What are you teaching there? You are teaching American culture, you are teaching American English, because even in Africa we have this British English and the American English. Then you go there in the midst of people that you don't understand.
You go where?
You go to Sudan, that you are teaching them in English. You are teaching them democracy. When you cannot equally practice the same democracy in your own backyard. And then you go there with all this confusion. You engineer people that you don't understand.
Who's the you?
Can you clarify who the you is? We just talked about 17, how many thousands Americans who are out there. Are you following the trend? 15,000.
I'm just asking who the you is from.
Cliff, in his explanation, he said that there are about 16,000 Americans there training, working. Who are they training? That they are teaching.
Cliff, did you say there's 16,000 troops there?
No, 16,000 American citizens that are not part of the government.
Why? And then some of them, some of them have not even completed college in this country, because if they really had something to do, they will work here. They will not go there when you are saying it is a war-torn country. They're going there because it is more lucrative and more attractive.
What makes you say these 16,000 people are training anybody?
Well, we have one case, someone from Mass who's educating in a local school. She's a school teacher.
Okay, so the 15,999 other people who are there, what makes you say they're training anybody?
I'm asking, then why are they there? If it is a war-torn country, they should be out. Why are they instead going into a war-torn country? And then there must be something beneficial that is dragging them there.
Excuse me, if China attacks America, you'll see the Washington bureaucrats get protected first, and to hell with everybody else. As soon as a nuke gets dropped in Washington, D.C., you won't see a politician's head pop above ground. we're going to protect the politicians in Boston over everybody else. You don't believe that?
I believe you. No, you are very right. I believe you. That's why I believe you. You are right.
And that's what happened in Sudan. You know what? We're getting our people out. We get 170 bureaucrats out of there. And that 16,000, well, the hell with you. Good luck, Charlie. That's what happened. That's what happened. The Brits, the same thing. When I listen to the BBC, same thing. The Brits pulled 70 Brits out of there. 70 bureaucrats they pulled out of there. For the rest of the citizenry that's there, the hell with you. Good luck, Charlie. That's how governments work.
Did they say how many Brits are there besides the embassy staff?
They're still counting.
I see.
But does anyone in the West and in the U.S. say, why do these people are going there when few blacks, when they're coming in this country, it became headline news about immigration? Why are these thousands? I mean, those thousands are those that we know. Those that go there that are not accountable are more than that. But do we ever think that living here and going over there and crossing, if you can stand only in the borders of Africa, I mean the whole of Africa, you will see the number of Westerners flowing into that area like an ocean. You will be amazed. No one ever talks about that.
Part of it is medical people who are trying to help. They feel that they're called to help other people. Some are educators, but you're right. What are the rest doing?
And then another people will say, some African scientists will say, yeah, medical people, some are coming there with good intentions. And some openly have also said that they are going there to test their drugs. It is documented. They come on Western media and that they are going there to test their drug to see how they can work well before they come to the West and make them official. So they are going there. They are going there with very, very nefarious intentions. They are not going there with ideas that will benefit Africa. Can you support your rival to be better than you?
Well, I'm with you that they should not use Africa as a testing ground for drugs that they're not willing to test at home. That'd be wrong. Mike, we've been ignoring you there. You got any thoughts so far?
I didn't want to interrupt in the middle of everybody talking there. So, first of all, this is just a terrible humanitarian situation over there. And, the root cause is greed as usual. I understand what Fru's saying. They find minerals over there and then people want to come in and take them to make money off of it. And, there's bribes to the government. There's all kinds of other things that go on in these countries so that these corporations can get the minerals for their products. And the people suffer the most are the citizens who live in that country. And it's very unfortunate. This is not something new. This is something that's been going on not just in the Sudan, but all over for a long time. So I agree with Cliff that in order for this to stop, somebody's going to have to win, somebody's going to have to lose. Unless where the UN somehow can get a truce and get negotiations done on both sides. But right now I don't see that happening.
No, I don't either.
I mean, and if everyone thinks like you that way, Mike, the world will go a better way. It's just that the masses are always left ignorant. Because most people are saying, oh, the government is going there, the government is going to give honey, the government is going to give medication. But they don't talk about the multinationals that have discovered all this and going there in the field using the government for their personal benefit. If you really look at it, I mean, what I'm saying is what I listen to intellectuals in this country analyze. If there is any coup anywhere in the third world or in Africa, you study very well, you see that there's a multi-corporation national behind, and that they are pushing the government to go to all these places. John said it very well. What are politicians for? Why do they lobby for a Congress and all these representatives? To represent their interests and their personal interests, they pull the government name in.